The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
Listen to this story about a great Hasidic Yid. His name is Herschel Weber. He told me the story himself. Herschel Weber's a Hasidic guy, lives in Williamsburg. Many years ago, 1962, he's learning in the Kollel on Raw Street in the Polish Yeshiva. He tells me it's lunchtime, he's going to go home. He walks down the stairs. All of a sudden, he sees a guy on the street. Oh, the guy, he said, he's got chest pain. The guy falls to the floor. Obviously, the guy had a heart attack. So he runs. He starts calling, yelling, screaming, get the police, get the fire department, somebody. By the time the police came, the guy Nebuch, he told me, he watched the guy become white and blue, and he died right in front of him. And he said what hurt him more than anything else is he overheard two police saying, one said to the other, if we would have got here 5 minutes ago, we could have saved this guy's life. So he was very distraught. So he decides that he is going to learn he's going to learn first aid. So he gets a guy from a cleaning store and he gets a friend from a bakery. And he goes, Chassidish guys, they're learning, CPR, you could imagine, right? So they're learning CPR and they're learning first aid and they're learning everything. And he buys himself a little oxygen tank and he keeps it in the kollel. And one guy has it in the bakery, and the other guy has it in the cleaning store. And in case there'll be any emergencies, they'll be ready. One night, it's an 85-year-old man. He's sleeping, and his wife is next to him. They're sleeping. She wakes up in the morning. The guy's not moving. Her husband's not moving. And she shakes him. She sees he died. And she's yelling and screaming. She comes to the front window always, but she's yelling. 7 o'clock in the morning, she just realized her husband died. And maybe somebody could revive him. So there's a big tumult, and somebody says, get Herschel Weber, get Herschel Weber. So he comes running with his oxygen tank. He told me this. He comes running. He comes upstairs. He takes a look. He says, Nebuch, there's nothing to do here. The guy's dead 5 hours already. Nebuch, she's sitting and crying, and he goes over to her, and he's trying to comfort her. By that time already, there was a big crowd. It's a big crowd outside. It's already about 8 o'clock, and, he comes down, he's walking down the stairs from this house, from this apartment, and there's a big crowd outside. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly how it happened. I didn't want to write this. I wrote this up in one of the Maggid books, but I didn't write this exact expression because it's just too low, and it's nideric, and it's so not nice. But he says, as he goes down, he hears one Yid say to the other, Zez dem Mishigan Herschel, etem geharget. You see that crazy guy Herschel? He killed him. Why did he say that? Because they thought that Herschel knows some medicine, right? But what does he know? Right? He had an oxygen tank, big deal. So probably they relied on him and he couldn't do anything, and probably under his care, whatever, he died. He told me he started crying so hard. He couldn't believe, how could one Yid say that about another Yid? He was destroyed. For 2 days, he told me, he didn't leave his house. He was so distraught. Finally, he goes to the Satmar Rebbe, and he says to the Rebbe, he tells him the whole incident. He said, Rebbe, don't you think that it would be a great idea if a couple guys got together, learned medicine, learned first aid, and they would be available for any time that there was a problem? So the Rebbe says, bring me a Shari Tshuva. Listen to this, you won't believe it. Bring me a Shari Tshuva, you could look it up, Shar Gimel, Ois, Ayin, Aleph. And the Shari Tshuva says like this. The Rebbe is showing it to him. V'toy v'nochin ma'oid, the Shari Tshuva says. It's good and proper. Liyos b'chol ir v'ir, there should be in every city, misnadvim ba'am, volunteers, minam askilim, intelligent people, liyos nechoinim umuzamanim, they should be ready, l'chol devar hatzola. For anything of rescue. He says, start the organization and call it Hatzola. That's how Hatzola started. Because of this, Satmar Rebbe and the Shari Tshuva and Herschel Weber. Because Herschel Weber cared. Because when he saw that guy die, he decided he's going to get an oxygen tank. He'll be a giving person to someone. That he, in his wildest dreams, imagined that he would start one of the greatest organizations that we have today in Klal Yisrael. Is there anybody here who doesn't know somebody who's been saved by Hatzola? Anyone here? One man started it. You know why? Because he cared. Because he went out to learn first aid. And he didn't save that person. That person was dead long before he got there. But the Eibush saw that Herschel Weber cared. So he gave him that machshava. Go to the Heilige Rebbe The Rebbe will give you the idea. You'll be the one who'll get the schar. That's what happens when you plant a seed. Unbelievable, unimaginable, unpredictable things happen when you begin to care. Not as a direct result, because you could never figure it out that it happened that way. But the Eibishter has a way of orchestrating beautiful events.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org